I come to the floor now to offer brief remarks on the introduction of the latest so-called bipartisan proposal. There's simply no way to say it, but to say it that this proposal fails to meet the mark will result in massive amnesty, and it will result in a surge of illegal immigration, even encouraging illegal crossing of our borders, and it has absolutely no chance of becoming law because we've been reminded of what the President said he would sign, and he has said that this bill that we're talking about now would not be signed by the President of the United States. It would be vetoed. In my mind, the Department of Homeland Security, when they commented on this bill, has this one point right. This bill will absolutely destroy our ability, meaning DHS's ability, to enforce our laws, secure our borders, and consequently then not protect the American people the way that the American people expect our government to do their number one responsibility, to protect the American people. It's hard to decide where to start when you dissect this ill-conceived proposal, but to quote J.R. Tolkien, I guess the best place to begin is at the beginning. This proposal claims to have border security measures, but the simple fact is that it doesn't have border security measures. This proposal does something that Democrats and Republicans agreed last year isn't sufficient border security. And what we've all agreed to is that simply throwing money at the border is not border security. So what does that lead you to other than just what you do at the border? Everyone in this chamber knows how hard Senators Cornyn and Johnson have worked on border security. Their hard work has shown all of us that border security, real border security, isn't just about infrastructure and money. It's about legal authority policy changes as well, and maybe more important. Like it or not, the simple fact is that our current laws contain numerous loopholes that actually prevent our law enforcement officers from apprehending, detaining, and speedily deporting dangerous criminal aliens. Professional staffers at the Department of Homeland Security, and I emphasize the words professional staffers, not political appointees, all agree that we need these authority changes. I asked my colleagues, what's the point of throwing money at the border if sex offenders, terrorists, gang members, child molesters, and war criminals can continue getting into our country? What's the point if we can't actually remove people who are entering illegally? What's the point if Americans continue to be victimized by crimes committed by undocumented immigrants? This bipartisan plan falls miserably short of providing real border security and doesn't do anything to make Americans safer. Worse than the border security problems, this bipartisan plan massively expands the number of individuals who are eligible for citizenship. The way this plan is written, more than 3 million individuals could become eligible for citizenship. And many of these people wouldn't actually be about the very same people we've been trying to deal with all week, DACA and Dreamers. The way this bill is written, people as old as 43 could benefit. So I thought when we began this debate that we've been talking about protecting young people, not middle-aged adults. This is clearly beyond the pale and is just another example of moving the amnesty yardstick. But the worst thing in this plan, the most egregious thing, is that it effectively suspends immigration enforcement until June 2018. Now think about that. Why would you effectively suspend immigration enforcement at any time? If my colleagues look at the last page of this amendment, it clearly says that any person who illegally enters our country before the end of June 2018, then you will never be a priority for deportation. Think of the invitation that comes for people between now and June 30th to get to this country because you won't be a priority for deportation. Isn't that quite an invitation to violate our laws, to violate our sovereignty? I can't imagine that people in the states of Montana and North Dakota and South Dakota, maybe any state for that matter, but particularly in some of these really conservative states that we have, that they would be thinking about voting for something that would be actually inviting people to this country because you won't be a priority for deportation. So let that point sink in. The authors of this plan are telling everyone in the world, not just south of our border, no matter who they are, what they've done, that if they get here before June, they'll never be an enforcement priority. Isn't that immigration madness? I can't for the life of me understand why my colleagues would want to end immigration enforcement. What justification do they have? I would urge them, if they got a justification, please come to the floor and please explain to the American people why you want people who aren't already here to come illegally. What could be the reason for that? So, Mr. President, I urge my colleagues to oppose this amendment. It just isn't serious. It will totally undermine our nation's border security and immigration law. This should not pass. I hope it doesn't pass. The President's proposed a veto. For the people that have introduced it, it's a good bill, but are you interested in just a good bill, or are you interested in getting a law passed? That takes 60 in the Senate, takes a majority in the House, and it takes a presidential signature. I hope that you're serious about working for things that can actually become law. That's what we have promised the Dreamers, and that's what we can deliver if we get those 60 votes. And we can do it in a way that is sound immigration policy, not something that's going to encourage more people to cross our borders without documentation